I want to ask you a goalie question.
Okay.
Okay. My frustration is I think they seem to use a butterfly as a security blanket. So I get frustrated when someone's up at the top of the circles, take a shot, and it goes over the goalie. They're
Yes.
teaching 5'2", 5'5" goalies, and they're dropping so early.
Yeah.
And then in the men's world championship, the Canada was playing Switzerland, and the St. Louis goalie, I can't remember his name. The puck's against the boards at above the hash marks.
Yeah.
And the Swiss player got it and takes a slap shot under the crossbar, and he scored. And the goalie was down. If he stood up, it hits him right in the chest.
Yeah.
So when is the time they should be going down?
Going down. So Bobrovsky does it really well because there has to be a harboring back to a reactionary style goalie, and he's a smaller goalie than Skinner. Skinner can go down whenever he wants because his shoulders are still up in the crossbar, right?
Well, there's always this much room, and those guys hit it.
Oh yeah, for sure. So ideally, the goalie is supposed to be out and on angle tracking. So imagine a player coming in down we'll say down the right wing, and or the left wing, and the player is or the goalie is out to their right side, and you're tracking. You shouldn't actually go down in a butterfly in a RVH against the post until, if you imagine that there's a line that goes from basically the center of the net to the bottom of the circles over to the boards. You know what I mean? So like the very bottom under the circles to the boards. If you were to like just paint that all red, that section, that triangle, that's where the goalie should be down, not above it. And most goalies that I see that are doing it wrong will go down when that triangle is up at the dot. Right? It shouldn't be the dot. It should be the bottom of the circle.
Yeah.
And
because that's what he was. I didn't even think it was a scoring chance.
Right.
And the game was
yeah.
It was overtime. The game was over.
Yeah, so they should still be out at a relatively high crease level. Not at the top of their crease because obviously there's not that much angle there, but still up. And when I did the goaltending seminar that Wally came and visited me at a couple of years ago, there was a big callback to, using your hands and making decisions because that had gone away from the game. So I think goalie coaches now, everything lags in different areas. And so goalie coaches now, we're really comfortable at teaching that RVH, and goalies just are simply overusing it. I don't even, to be honest, Tom, I don't even teach it at my hockey school at all because my goalies are little and miniature, my oldest goalies at my goalie school are 15, 15-year-old girls. There's not that many that are that tall. I mean, some are pretty tall, and I might teach it on like a wraparound so that they understand the concept of it. And maybe a little bit of a walkout, but as soon as that person is walking out, I want you back up on your feet, pushing out, being in a ready position versus stagnant. I go back to Wally's teaching of getting your stick on puck as a goalie, like way more valuable than just stagnantly sitting there waiting. You're like a shooting duck, like you're just kind of waiting. And you're so set. It's a very awkward position. I don't know if you've ever put yourself in that position, but your limbs are not biomechanically ready to make any save. So the only thing you can really do is, they call it a chicken wing, which is like a reverse this way, which is your elbows. But that's so awkward. So I agree with you, Tom. It shouldn't have happened. They're being taught the wrong way.
Goalies, like last year, they're 5'2" and 5'5".
Mm-hmm.
The players are shooting from the ringette line. And there's a couple of top scorers in the league, and they'd score because they'd shoot in the top.
Yeah.
And you're saying, how in the world are you letting in that goal? Because if it just stood there.
Yeah, you could stop it.
Doesn't even look like a scoring chance.
Yeah, I would say any goalie or any coach that is struggling with that frustration with their goalie to go back to working on simply shooting high and having the goalie watch it into their glove, watch it into their blocker, and being able to make the decision as to when to go down. Even now, I don't know if you watch in the NHL in some of the highest levels, the paddle length on the goalie stick is half the size it was. So it looks like a miniature hockey stick. And the goalie's stick is actually not supposed to be on the ice in the standing position. So they're standing and they're waiting, but it's measured to your butterfly. It's not measured to your standing position anymore. So when you go down to the butterfly, then your stick is in a good, solid position to be in the butterfly. Rather than in the past, it had to be a lot further out and at more steep angle so the puck could ramp up. Now it's like just set. And so that to me trickles down to the younger levels, but then the younger levels don't need that because they shouldn't be in the butterfly as often. They should be able to skate and be able to push cross crease standing. But that isn't taught as much because you see what the highest level is doing, and that's what coaches think you should be doing. But they don't have the athleticism to do what those guys are doing. Yeah, so I always recommend, like, I'd rather them watch a goalie like Bobrovsky or somebody like Emran Smashmeyer in the PWHL, because that's maybe the stature more of these goalies than watching somebody like Anne-Renee Desbiens is taller and just, she's a taller goalie. So you're not necessarily going to be able to play like her right away, or Corrine Schroeder, who's 6 foot with New York. So you got to learn all those other techniques and know what your skill set is too. So yeah, have them watch Emran Smashmeyer or Elaine Chuli in Montreal, another, 5'3" goalie, so quick and was dominant this year in the PWHL. Actually outperformed Anne-Renee Desbiens in terms of save percentage in games won and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it just looks like a security blanket sometimes.
Totally. Yeah, you think
down and
yeah, or like I don't see the puck, so I'm just going to go down. I'm going to try to cover as much as I can, rather than trying to fight to see the puck and trying to look around the screen and figuring out where you are. And anyways, it is a security blanket. I think you're right, Tom.
Yeah, I just wonder what the guideline was, because
so it's that triangle along the bottom of the circles. Now every rink is going to be a little bit different, but where we did the at COP, it was the bottom of the circles there. That's helpful. Just draw a line with a bingo dabber from the center of the net, so not the post, but the center of the net, over to the boards, to under the circle, and you'll be able to see that the angle that the goalie has to cover in order to have no puck go in is very minimal. So
that Edmonton guy, Draisaitl.
Oh, Draisaitl, yeah.
He shoots for that, eh?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm a player,
yeah. And if he puts it in the top a little bit, he scores a lot of goals there.
Well, the best players, should be going to shoot at goalie camps to find out what goalies are doing. I mean, the more you know about your opponent and what their first move is, the more you're going to figure it out. So that's my suggestion for any shooters.
Well, I remember Kiprusoff, he played a little different. He played really up, like really made himself tall, and he was, I think he was 6'1" or something. He wasn't huge like these other guys, but there wasn't a whole lot of room,
up high. Whereas somebody like Jonathan Quick pushed himself out, so he would be super low, but he would have his hands out so far that he would cut off the angle, because just simply mathematics, getting your hands out further makes you taller too. So there's a couple different ways of doing it, but yeah, Kiprusoff would just be very upright, so that almost like Artur Zerbe was that way too, that he would be nice and upright and take up, not a big goalie, but take up a lot of the net.
Well, Calgary's going to have a goalie next year he's 5'11" or 6 feet, and everybody's talking about he's too small. And he's been the MVP in the American League a few times. He played a little for them last year, and that's basically how he's got to play.
Who is the goalie?
Wolf.
Oh, okay. I did a couple Marlies games this year where I got to do color commentating, so I knew I had to learn up, but I never had the Flames franchise.
Yeah, he played the last half of the year for the Flames, but he was, but he was MVP 2 years ago in the American League. And
well, the one that I watched a bunch was Devin Levi. I think that's
Yeah.
how you say his last name, with the Americans in Rochester. He would be considered a smaller goalie, but he was quick, and his mechanics were spot on. So whether he gets a chance with Buffalo or not, I don't know, but he was certainly really good at that level.
How big is Bobrovsky?
Good question. I mean, he looks smaller because he's playing against Skinner, you know. I'm gonna guess like 5'11", 6 foot, but
And you can
What's
see
your
when the
thought?
players come up to him after the game, you know, and they always bump heads.
Yeah.
Most of the players are a little taller than he is, which is unusual for a goalie.
I'm gonna look it up.
So if that's the case, he may be a model for how to goaltend.
Yeah.
Sami, at your hockey schools, and I don't know if they're elite enough, do you bring up that point, bottom of circle, that triangle?
Yeah, we do. We do off ice teaching that way, for
Yeah.
sure. And then on ice teaching, we do some drills that incorporate, you know, kind of when to do it. So we might do a wrap where player skates behind the net, then wraps, and you have to be down low for the stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other player from the other side skates around the other way on the net. And then we have a cone that makes them come out up and higher. So the goalie has to recover and realize, oh, I can be standing on that side. I just looked up Bobrovsky's height. He's 6'2", 188. But that could
6'2",
be
that's
exaggerated a little bit.
I don't think he.
They tend to exaggerate them a little bit.
Yeah.